Hello, everyone. I'm Tom. Since this coronavirus disruption started, I've been hosting this vlog to eat beef jerky and talk with you on the internet. I know I'm not a food critic, so the beef jerky part is silly and pointless. But this vlog has let me explore some fun ideas with you, especially regarding game design. So I'm going to keep doing it. Um, Before we begin for realsies, I've got my 3D printer running right next to me over here. I hope it's not too noisy. Please comment below if you find it distracting or annoying or problematic from an audio point of view. Certainly will give me some good feedback as to whether I'll ever do that again. Uh, so, it's December 7, a date which is very important because my brother-in-law Dennis has a birthday today. Happy birthday, Dennis! Um, there are many other reasons why December 7 is an important date around the world. It happens also, interestingly enough, to be 2 years ago exactly that I had some serious back surgery. And I'm happy to say that even though it was a long road back, I am fully recovered. So, hooray! I think this is not a round numbered episode or anything. It's like 53 or something. Um, but let's do the episode. Let's do the normal. Now, for me, since I've done over 50 episodes, we can call it a normal episode and do the normal things that I normally do on an episode. Let's start by talking about video games. Specifically, Christmas themed video games. I think this particular image is a little extreme, but it's not actually too off the mark because my experience, and I gotta tell you, I'm just one person. There's a lot of video games out there, so I'm certain there's some I might have missed. But in my experience, there are only two kinds of Christmas video games. Um, and they're both really just about marketing. The first, of course, is big name games, big expensive AAA games that crank out some extra content for Christmas just to get a few more sales and to fulfill a promise they make to their users that they will continue to come out with new content. Throwing together some evil Santa or some evil Frosty, and oh no, here's a snow gun. Is something that a couple artists and a programmer can do in a month, and they can keep the product ball rolling. Um, However, I've also seen a lot more of indie game developers making making Christmas and Santa themed indie video games. And again, whenever I've seen that it's been clear that it's just been a marketing scheme. It's been a way to differentiate the developer's product into something that they can help they can use it in order to stand out in the marketplace a little bit more. I've seen indie Christmas themed video games about that are just reskins of Match 3 games, platforming games, um, um, different kinds of games that they didn't need in any way, or were not benefiting in any significant way from the Christmas theme. They just, they had the Christmas theme, and that let the developer get a few more sales. Um, I have never actually seen a Christmas themed video game that I thought was actually a video game that really actually uh, was worth Christmas, or was important to Christmas, functioned you know critically to Christmas. Is the kind of game that if there was no Christmas, you could not play that kind of game. And a lot of reasons, of course, for that is that if you think about it for a second, when we say Christmas, we got two things going on. One, of course, is Santa, um, and we could associate that with sales and marketing and department stores, but mostly it's all about the sleigh and the delivering toys. The other part of Christmas, of course, is the religious aspect of Christmas, the Jesus in the manger, the birth of Christ. The second most important Christian holiday. Um, And that's about, you know, Son of God being born in a manger because his folks, poor as no poor as all get out, were forced to travel just before his birth. And so there was no room at the inn. Three wise men showed up. The barnyard animal showed up. The little drummer boy shows up. There's the star in the sky. Um, King Herod and all that. So that's a complex religious story. Um, and that's the other part. So if you look at either of these parts, the Santa part or the Birth of Christ part, you realize that there's deepness there, but there's complexity there in terms of turning it into a video game, and that comes back to um, one of the things I've always said about video games, which was that video games are, you know, well, actually, what Will Wright said is that play is just exploration, but a game has rules, and you can win or maybe you can lose. So how do you set rules and then win or lose in either of these two realms, the Santa realm or the Birth of Christ realm? There are theoretically ways, but it doesn't. For one thing, on either way, there's a finality and an extreme um, supernatural aspect to the stories, whether it's Santa or whether it's Birth of Christ. Um, it's kind of hard to imagine building a game where, oh, Jesus didn't live after all. There's your lose condition. So people are not going to do that. It's more easy to imagine, oh, Santa couldn't get all his toys to all his children all over the world. Oops, he lost. But even that is not, you know, was anyone looking for that kind of technical challenge? Um, I think that there might be an interesting way to make a video game that's Christmassy, or that is tied to Christmas indelibly. Um, but it it's definitely not something that could easily be done by, you know uh, a video game developer just starting out. And feel free to prove me wrong. If I tell you you can't do it and then you go off and do it, I'm so happy. But as a veteran game developer, I can tell you that um, I have seen many times that the people who have the passion for a project like this don't have the technical capability for a project like this, and the people who have a technical capability for a project like this don't want to do it. And if they want to do it, it's because they're hired to do it, and they want to do it as cheaply and as simply as possible. So they usually take a Match 3 engine or a platforming engine or whatever and graft a bunch of Christmas themed art and sound onto it and call it done. Um, so that's probably the large amount of why no one's ever seen an actual, this is a real Christmas game, a game that could not exist without Christmas, and that's really fun and interesting and, different. Probably different because couldn't exist without Christmas. At any rate, so that's my take on Christmas themed games. Um, Unfortunately, like Mall Santa Christmas itself, it's all about marketing. It's all about consumerism, um, and because of that, it falls down. But I'm not gonna rain on anybody's parade if they want to take a stab at it. I'm not going to, because as you may have seen from some of my other media, my brand is called Incandescent Workshop, and Incandescent Workshop specifically refers to Rocket Exhaust and Dragon Breath. If it doesn't have Rocket Exhaust and Dragon Breath, I, as a game designer, I'm not so super excited about it. But that's just me. All right, enough rambling about video games, Christmas or otherwise. Let's talk about beef jerky. I have a brand new beef jerky to share with you. It's Baja Jerky, and this particular Baja Jerky is very exciting because it's sweet orange beef jerky. Is it sweet? Is it orange? I'll be the judge of that. Remember, I'm not a food critic, but I'll be the judge of that. I got it right here. Open the package. I don't expect it to be hot, but I got my soda just in case. Smells sweet. Smells, molassesy a bit. Here's a piece. Hmm. Hmm. Well, it's good. It is not overwhelmingly orange, and it is not overwhelmingly sweet. In fact, it's definitely sweet enough to say, okay, this is sweet, but if you hadn't told me that there was orange in it, I'm not sure I would have said, hey, this tastes like orange. Um, but it's good. I can attest that it is 100% not spicy. And I'm not a big fan of spice, so, of spicy, of hot. So I kind of like that. Um, yeah, not bad. All right, let's open the mailbag. And let me point out that I haven't done a video in pretty much the month of November. So it's been about a month since my last video. But Adam Parra uh, gave me a response on my YouTube video from a month ago, and I'll go over it. He first says, and remember the last video I was talking about a brand new video game called Among Us, which was a multiplayer game with a trader and things. And he said, I too am amazed at the success of Among Us. I had to download and play it myself. And then he goes on to an anecdote which has to do with trader style games, or trader in games. He says, I have to tell you about Bill Wallace's game that he runs at Origins. Bill Wallace is a great guy. He's been coming to, and he's been bringing his team and his equipment to the Artemis conventions for years. And I still want us to get past this plague so that we can get back to having more Artemis conventions. I miss it terribly, and I'm sure other people do too. And I want it to happen as soon as it can. So anyway, he says he runs at Origins. I helped him out one year. Along with his two Artemis bridges, he has a laser tag arena. One night he ran a script where two TSN ships had to drop off a squad of Marines and fight off the rebels guarding the base with laser tag. The Marines are actually players in laser tag gear fighting the other rebel players. All the Marines are rank and file loyal to the TSN, all but one of the Rebs are loyal to the cause. At some point, one of the rebels, Agent Paladin, switches sides and starts shooting at his own rebels. A lot of people liked the twist in that game. Yeah, I agree with you, Adam. The kind of the traitor mechanic that is shown in Among Us and also in Bill Wallace's game is a really fun twist. Oh, can be a really fun twist, and it's in a lot of games. It's in the classic games of Werewolf or Mafia, and then there was a recent tabletop game called Secret Hitler, which implemented that mechanic too. So a lot of games have that kind of have that traitor game mechanic in it, and it's a very interesting game mechanic. It's kind of I think it's well explored, but only along some axes. I think that there's plenty of room for game developers to explore it in other ways and other forms. Um, it's worth thinking about in the long term. But I agree, it's kind of a fun mechanic. It certainly adds a very specific paranoid flavor to a game. So, all right, folks, that was Baja Jerky, specifically sweet orange beef jerky. I can tell you that it's not in any way spicy. It's reasonably sweet. It's orange, but not overpoweringly so. Uh, Generally, pretty good jerky. Not bad. I wouldn't say it's as bold and as spicy as say Stroyo's mild, which is my current um, kind of winner in the not too spicy for me, but still bold and complex flavors. Um, but it's pretty good. It's pretty up there. It's definitely better than your standard Jack Link's gas station jerky. So I can recommend it. And we have four more flavors of Baja Jerky to try. So we'll do that. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you again really soon. Thank you. Bye bye.